joint meeting of the Port of Kennewick and the City of Kennewick will come to order. Just a little procedure thing, since this is an official meeting of the port and of the city, there's some procedural things that we need to abide by. So I'm going to ask Mayor Young to call the city to order.
Okay, I'll call the special meeting to order, and I'll do roll call. Matt Binky.
Here.
Don Britton.
Present.
Councilman Jones is excused. Paul Parrish.
Here.
Bob Parks. Here. John Trumbo.
Here.
Mayor Young is here. Thank you.
And with that, I'd like to all to have you rise, please, and I'd like to have Councilman Lieutenant Colonel retired Matt Binky lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Be honored to. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Matt. At Port of Kennewick Commission meetings, we have 2 sessions of public comment, one at the beginning and one at the end of the meeting. We just ask that you go to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and because of the time constraints on this and possible extended public comments, we just ask that you limit your comments to 1 minute. And if you're here with a group or you hear a comment that's made that's similar to what you're going to make, we ask that you refrain from making those at this time. So would anyone like to make a public comment at this time? Wow. Silent group. Okay, we'll move on. So our next item on the agenda is Columbia Drive Revitalization Phase 1 status, and we're going to turn that over to Tim Arnston and Marie Mosley.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Novakovich and Mayor Steve Young. We appreciate the opportunity to provide you with a little bit of background and update on the project that we currently have been working in partnership on. To begin with, Tim and I will just provide you with a brief overview. But I want to, first of all, congratulate and thank the Port of Kennewick and the City of Kennewick for the partnership that they've worked on in order to bring a tremendous project to fruition. And Tim and I will talk a little bit about what has happened with Columbia Gardens Phase 1, but it really did start with the vision from the Port Commission to recognize that there was some land that was available in that area and capsize on that land and then be able to bring that vision to fruition. So I'm going to turn it over to Tim to talk a little bit about what's happened in Phase 1.
Certainly, and I think we're going to run through a couple slides here. This is an overview. You're looking, I guess you're just almost above Columbia Drive, which is the street that runs from left to right, and then as you go above that, you see some patches of the bare soil. That is where Phases 1 and potentially Phase 2 of the Wine Village will go. The Phase 1 is the project that the Port Commission just bid that will be the construction of 3 buildings, 2 of which are leasable space for small wineries, the third which would be a joint barrel house so they can rack up the barrels. Our goal for all of this property, if you go from the Willows on the left-hand side to the Cable Greens, there's about 28 acres. The Port has purchased over the years about 16 acres. We've done some master planning with it, and we're very comfortable with the private businesses staying there. Over time, they may want to join what we're doing, but we're being good neighbors. They're being good neighbors to us. The private businesses are, a big part of what we're doing here. This is a really neat part of town, and the character is going to remain. We're just going to kind of add a little bit to it with the wine garden, the wine village, and we're going to have the potential for restaurants and other really neat things in there. So it's not just about wine. And really, as the slides go on, you might see some pictures of demolition of some of the older buildings, maybe some renderings of the new buildings. But what we're really doing, all of us in this room, what we're really doing is we're working to improve our neighborhood. It's not a project about wine buildings. It's not a project about other things you might hear tonight. It's a project about helping this part of town, and the public has asked for many years for us to get in the game. So neighbor to neighbor, we're trying to help advance this neighborhood. I'll hand it back to Marie for a while.
Thank you, Tim. So as Tim mentioned, the Port's in the process of building 3 buildings, but in partnership with the Port of Kennewick, the City of Kennewick has completed the trail around Duffy's Pond, which you can see from here. And this trail also is connected to the Heritage Trail. So those that are on the Heritage Trail will be able to come off the Heritage Trail, get on the Duffy's Pond Trail, and this will be the access to the front of the buildings that are going to be built by the Port of Kennewick. So it will be a great opportunity to get people walking and biking and to be able to really see the vibrant community that the Columbia Gardens will be. This is obviously right there at Duffy's Pond. The other partnership that the City of Kennewick is working on with the Port of Kennewick is we're in the process right now of installing the Streetscape, which includes curbs, gutters, sidewalks. We'll have some lighting, some landscaping. So really, on Columbia Drive in this area where Columbia Gardens is, will look very different than what it looks like today. And this project will be done in November, so just next month. And then we'll be working on providing and installing the wine wastewater pre-treatment facility that will be there that will help service the wineries that are going to be there. So the city is working on the infrastructure, the port is working on the buildings, and together we're going to really change the looks of what's happening on Columbia Drive and around Duffy's Pond. So Tim.
Sure, you just see the rendering kind of in the lower left-hand side. You see the rendering of the 3 buildings. The neat thing about it, in my opinion, is the 2 buildings are connected, but they have a little avenue where you can actually drive and walk through the 2 buildings. The objective is to create a small main street that kind of meanders through the project. So you create a little bit of separation from busy Columbia Drive to kind of a little walkable path for vehicles and pedestrians. So you can kind of see it runs through the 2 buildings. It's hard to see from this angle. Those will be the 2 leasable spaces for wineries. We've got some good interest in the buildings. In fact, we've been asked, can you make a 3rd one out of them? And it's really maybe not in the cards, but that's a really good problem to have when people say, gosh, I really wish there'd be a 3rd space. Yeah, here's another exciting part of it. We were approached by members of our community, and they wanted to know if there would be an opportunity for a mural on one of the buildings. So we have a lot of blank wall space. And it was a group of primarily Latino members of our community that wanted to see if there's a possibility for showing some of the commitment that the Latino community has made primarily to our agricultural segment of our economy. And it's not that we're saying that's the only contribution they've made, but because this is a agrarian project, wineries, the thought was that let's show the contribution that folks in our community are making. We kind of vetted with this committee and the Kennewick Arts Commission a number of artists. It was a very, very sought after project. We had folks from all across this country. We even had a couple foreign entrance in this, and this is the artist that the Latino community and the Kennewick Arts Commission decided on. The artist is from Miami, and you're seeing some of the scenes of the contributions into the ag industry and the wine industry, and it's going to go on one of the buildings there. What kind of makes me proud of this is the foresight that the Port Commission had, and this is not the end of this. This is the beginning of really cool little grassroots projects coming to the port. So we're kind of excited that a segment of the community came up and said, hey, can we contribute? And the group just didn't ask the port to do it all. They went out and did quite a bit of the fundraising on their own.
Well, now we come to some of the exciting part of this meeting, and I think you probably heard one thing that I'm really proud of at the Port of Kennewick is the partnerships that we've developed. The City of Kennewick has been awesome. We've been able to do a lot of things for the public, partnering with CBC, and then also you just heard about a partnership with the Latino community. So we really believe in partnerships and believe that we can serve this community a lot better through those partnerships. So Tim and Marie, do you want to start talking about Columbia Gardens Phase 2?
Thank you. Yes. So we've talked about Phase 1, and there's a lot of excitement and synergy going on between the port and the city and other entities, private development interest. And we've talked a lot. We believe that we're not stopping at phase 1. It's time to plan for phase 2. So I'm going to turn it over to Tim to talk about phase 2 Columbia Gardens, as well as the Willows and the connections. So.
Right, thank you, Marie. And that's kind of why we're here. We really want to brief the electeds on kind of where your staff has been spending time for the last number of months. And I'm looking at the mayor and the president of the Port Commission. I'm sure hoping that we get kind of the feedback of, yeah, that's been a good use of time, rather than, oh, I'm out, you know. So phase 2, it will be just to the west of the buildings that we're building now. And part of the reason for phase 2 is that some of the larger wineries came to us and said, you know, it's great what you're doing, but that's on a really small scale. That's for the small wineries that need to lease space. Do you have anything that we can buy? Property we can own, build our own building. So Marie and I talked about that, and after having several requests for that, we got together with our teams and we just drew a mock-up of what a phase 2 could look like. And what it would be, the little gray U-shaped thing in the middle would be a loop road that kind of connects with the other roads that we're proposing in there. It's part of that slow little main street, the walkable street. And the purple objects in there are sites where buildings could be located. And one of the really neat, not really a proposal, but one of the neat ideas we heard is that one of the winemakers would like to do potentially a custom crush facility. What that means, in essence, is somebody goes in there and they crush and they prep wine for 5, 6, 7 different wineries in one building, and then that gives you the opportunity to set up tasting rooms for all the other little guys. So it's an enterprise where the bigger folks can come in and help bring other smaller wineries kind of higher up on the food chain, if you will.
So with that, we are now ready to turn this over to Rich Cummings with CBC to talk about a partnership that we're very excited to work with and partner with CBC. So I'm going to turn it over to Rich at this point.
Welcome, Rich.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you. Thank you, Skip. So when I became president of Columbia Basin College in 2008, one of the first persons to talk to me was Steve Young, who asked me when Columbia Basin College was going to be in Kennewick. And of course, we ran headlong into the Great Recession, and all through that, though, Steve kept saying, when are you going to come to Kennewick? And depending on how you review this proposal tonight, we will be coming to Kennewick. That's the plan. So I want to start by thanking the city and port leaders. I want to thank the CBC Board of Trustees for their support in helping us to move this forward. I want to thank Columbia Basin College Vice President Tyrone Brooks for the work that he's put in on this project. And I want to thank the CBC Foundation. Matt Backlund and Elisa Watkins are here tonight. So we started talking with the city and the port after we were approached about a year ago. And so we've been working very quietly on this idea and this project for the last year. And for a small community to hold it pretty close to the vest, and I did have to speak in public comment on a couple of occasions, it's been pretty good. So what we did over this past year is we began to do some due diligence around what it would look like to open a culinary institute in Kennewick under CBC auspices. So we visited Spokane Community College, Southwest Oregon Community College down in wherever that is, down on the coast, Coos Bay. A couple of other places we looked around, and we started building a business plan around developing, a school. And so for me, as we were developing this plan, it just really is beautiful because it's a classic, just a textbook example of economic development in my mind, and how entities can come together to really move a community forward. So the port and the city, 3 pieces of economic development in my mind, actually 4. The first is infrastructure. So the city and the port came together and they're doing all the infrastructure for this project. And that attracts investment. So now wineries are going to be moving in, and possibly soon restaurants will be building up around this. The third element, though, really is talent. And so for the Tri-Cities to really reach its potential in this particular wine tourism, wine haute couture kind of thing, talent development has to be a big piece of it. So we are proposing to place a culinary institute at Duffy Pond. So the design of this program is fairly simple. So beautiful building, and what we are proposing is about a 20,000 square foot building that we think will cost about $10 million to build. And we want to have 3 kitchens in this, 3 large kitchens, through which we would run 2 cohorts of cooking students, morning and afternoon, and 1 baking. So the kitchens would be a cooking, an ad hoc, or a la carte, I should say, and a baking kitchen, right? We also want to build in an event center, and we talked, I think, Tyrone, up to 200 seats kind of capacity in an event center. We'd like to have a bakery store on the front end so that it would be retail, because the baking school would be creating a lot of product that we could sell. Then also a small restaurant. And the small restaurant would be open on a limited basis, say Thursday through Saturday or something like that, with a menu that the students would create, go shopping for, do the whole preparation from soups to nuts. So basically, we would like to form a PDA to go about doing the fundraising. $10 million is a big lift, but we have raised that much money in the community for a project before over at Columbia Basin College, and we think we can get this done. So that's basically the project in a nutshell. As you can see, the renderings on the building, very nice. The materiality of it fits in nicely with the Duffy Pond. There's a contemporary kind of look with the siding, along with some more classical look. Perhaps that's cobblestone in the parking lot there. Just a beautiful facility. 2-story elevation. We'll look out across the pond. We're not really sure. We're going to have to get a lift out there or a big ladder to see exactly what the elevation is, but you should be able to see Clover Island, the Blue Bridge, and the Cable Bridge from that observation or that restaurant deck there. So that's basically it. We want to kind of rally the community around this concept and begin the hard work of fundraising and building the program at the college. We're putting into reserves over the next couple of years the money that we will need to invest in the startup of this program for the first 5 years, and we think we'll get it to a place where it's solvent after that period of time.
Which this is exciting. Excuse me. One thing I'd just like to mention is Columbia Gardens is where the Port of Kennewick is building the wine village. This project is actually going to go in the Willows, which is a former trailer park that the port vacated a number of years ago. And it's a catalytic project. It's something that I think the community can rally around. And so there's another partnership. But we're also going to talk about another partnership, and that's funding for this project. Mm-hmm. And this is a partnership that we're forming with the county, and I believe Tim and Marie are going to talk about funding opportunities.
So great. I'll go ahead and start. One of the things I wanted to say, there's a lot of people that have really been involved in this project. It has been very exciting. As Rich mentioned, it's been hard to kind of keep it a secret as we're trying to work through the details. But I do want to acknowledge Terry Walsh and Barb Carter and Emily Estes Cross, the efforts that they put in. They actually started talking about this and thinking, wouldn't it be great if we had a culinary arts school in this area? And they then approached Rich, and from there, and that has been way over a year ago, I think, when that initially started. So what a great partnership, and just thinking of things that we could do in our community and ways we can work together. So along that same line, when we talk about partnerships, we have a phenomenal opportunity with a partnership with the county, Benton County. So we have heard, and we've talked about before, that Benton County had been provided rural county capital funds, which is a 0.09% sales tax credit. that was used in Benton County. It was provided in the late 90s for rural counties used for economic development purposes. In Benton County, we decided to use that to pay for debt service on the jail. The county has done a phenomenal job in their fiscal responsibility, that they have set aside the dollars already to pay the debt service on the jail. The rural county capital funds stay in existence until 2023, so it provides a unique opportunity for the county to then share those dollars with local entities, so the cities and the ports and the county within Benton County, and be able to provide economic development opportunities. So it is a wonderful opportunity for us. The city and the port together are receiving rural county capital funds. We're working on a partnership together. We think this is a great project to use those funds. And then also, we don't want to stop there. We want to leverage those dollars and look for grant opportunities as well to be able to really leverage those dollars and be able to invest in the infrastructure so that we can build the culinary arts school. So a wonderful opportunity, and a real big thank you to Benton County for their fiscal responsibility and being able to provide this funding source.
Thank you, Marie. Tim?
Well, I just kind of want to echo what Marie said. Without the thought of participation by the county, these two projects wouldn't have come online. And we believe that that is kind of important elements of the rural county funds. They're supposed to be used to spur projects that jurisdictions didn't have the funding for on their own. So, but for these funds, we wouldn't be showing you these pictures here tonight. So it is very, very critical that the county can play a role in this, and we're very, very thankful with the conversations we've had with the representatives from the county. We have kind of good feelings about this. We have to go through an application process, but we sincerely believe that these things that you've seen tonight are very, very consistent with the use that the legislature placed on the rural county funds. So I think Marie's done a wonderful job of kind of summarizing the participation between the port and the city. And you know, for the public, a lot of times we have expectations that branch A of the government and branch B of the government, they're all working for us, so they just got to figure out how to work well together. Unfortunately, it's not always like that, but the city of Kennewick and Port of Kennewick have been leveraging our resources, whether it's funding or staff or ideas, to kind of make some really neat things happen. And when you pick up partners along the way, like the college, that's going to do a lot of heavy lifting on this, and we are glad that you're finally in Kennewick, thank you, and the county. So, it really is. It's kind of a cliche to say that you have to build these partnerships and you have to collaborate on these things, and it's true. It really is. So, again, appreciate the opportunity to present this tonight. And I think what we need as joint staffs, we need some sort of green light from the electeds to pursue this any further. And we're not presuming that we've gotten that yes answer. This is really your night tonight to talk about this. But should the Port Commission want to instruct me to go further with this, I think Commissioner Novakovic has a resolution. We would presume that the city, if you wanted to go forward, would provide some other form of authorization so Marie can go forward. But I got to tell you, this has been a really neat project. It's been a lot of fun working on, and I got to hand it to Rich. He's really managed to keep it quiet. We got to put you in charge of other agencies.
Just to echo what Tim said, this is a real prime example how government entities can partner together for the greater good of the community. And this is just a wonderful thing that possibly other governmental agencies and other communities can look at how things can be done. Before we go on, we are going to take action on a resolution. So at the Port of Kennewick, we allow for public comment. Again, this is our last session of public comment, a dual purpose for people to make comments on a possible action that the port will take, and then I believe the city will also take some action on this too. So at this time, if anyone would like to make comments, we just ask that you go to the podium, state your name and address for the record, limit your comments to 1 minute, and we just ask that you don't repeat comments that have already been made. Chris, welcome.
Thank you. I'd like to congratulate the City of Kennewick and the Port of Kennewick and Columbia Basin College. This is an absolutely wonderful project, and it just so happens our annual meeting for Visit Tri-Cities this year is Culinary Tourism, the Hidden Harvest. And it is the hidden harvest because when you bring in food and wine and, of course, the wonderful ability to just enjoy the arts and the trails, this is an ideal project, and it really is an anchor. I always take a look at tourism or any kind of development as having that critical mass, and most certainly this is very complementary to the WSU Wine Science Center, the Walter Kluwer in Prosser, our over 200 wineries within an hour's drive. This fits right in, and I've been waiting for this project like this for quite a few years, and I'm very confident with this is that in terms of a payoff for the community, it will pay off, and it'll pay off through tourism dollars, through those visitor dollars. And currently it's tourism is a $488 million industry. When I say $488 million, that's going to small businesses throughout the Tri-Cities region. So you've got that visitor spending going to businesses, but that visitor spending is also generating taxes and revenues for our jurisdictions, and it's also generating property taxes for our jurisdictions as well. It's very healthy. I'm sure the downtown area in Kennewick is going to prosper as a result of this, and most certainly it'll put the entire Tri-Cities region on the map. So I just wanted to say if there's anything that I can do to help you all, just let me know. I'm very enthusiastic about this project, and I'm sure that when I come before City Council next year and you're starting this project, that we'll see more tourism as a result of it. So again, I want to thank all three entities, and congratulations.
Thank you, Chris. Would anyone else like to make a public comment? Dan?
Hi, Dan Smith from Historic Downtown Kennewick Partnership, 124 East, 124 West Kennewick Ave. I just want to show that we completely support this as a partnership. We believe that this project will help, as it was already said, tourism in the area. It will help businesses in the area. It will bring more people down to downtown Kennewick. We believe that a walking path needs to be installed or come up with through the partnership and partners with the partnership to get people from the wine village into downtown. So as time goes on, hopefully our partnerships will build. We will generate more traffic into downtown Kennewick as time goes on. Again, we completely support this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Any other public comments? You're surely welcome.
Hello. Shirley Simmons, 9221 West Clearwater in Kennewick. I would like to talk to you about being a business owner. I think this is absolutely amazing. For us to be able to have a culinary arts kind of institute where we could hire from, we don't have anything like that around here. We don't have anywhere where we can actually hire students to come and do catering and culinary and work in our kitchens and wait tables and all those wonderful things. I think this is absolutely amazing, and I would fully support it as a business owner. And I know I can't talk for most hospitality entities in our area, but I think that you'd probably have full support from almost everybody. I think it's absolutely wonderful, and congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'd like to turn this part of the agenda over to Miriam.
Well, at this time, we're going to open up a little bit of time for the electeds and to have a few moments to talk, share their thoughts. However, I'm going to lead off. I have to share a little bit of a story. Rich and I go back probably 20 years, 21 years. We actually shared an office at CBC. And I remember when my job was to be the entrepreneur. But at that time, I realized Rich was a visionary even back then. And we would have these long discussions about the future and what Tri-Cities would look like. And he was pretty much instrumental in pushing me down a path of either destruction or election, one or the other. But so it's true, when I came on became the mayor, I had this 10-point plan, and one of those items was to see our local college have a residence in the city of Kennewick. And so I started in on Rich pretty early, and I don't think we ever ran into each other that I didn't bring that subject up over and over again. What's really great about this project is, if you look at the location, we've taken an area of Kennewick that people had given up on and didn't see much value in. And now you're going to begin to see a lot of movement in this area. You're going to see students, you're going to see business owners, you're going to begin to see tourists, locals. And let me explain why this very school is so important to the Tri-Cities. One, when he talks about the kitchens that will be located in this building, these are model kitchens. When we built the convention center, we traveled numerous places trying to figure out what the best kitchen would be for the convention center. People will come here to see what CBC has determined is the best type of kitchen and layout. Second, we're not only going to be teaching and training chefs, cooks, and bakers, but we're also going to be training servers. Those of us that go out to eat regularly have time and time again, we've run into individuals that weren't really very good at serving. We're now going to have a place where people can get educated on how to serve the public, begin to understand you can have a career in food service, as Shirley can explain. You'll begin to see new restaurants open up in this area because of this school. And think about the wineries all located around this. So we're going to have people drinking wine and eating, and someday we'll have Uber so that we can get them hauled home. I couldn't leave it out. But I want to thank CBC for this, because this was the anchor we were looking for. And while we talk about phase two is going to come pretty quick, and we're excited about it. I'd like to open it up to other electeds, including the CBC trustees, if you have comments you'd like to make.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Parrish?
I'd just like to touch on this subject. Since 1948, it's been our back door. And this is a huge, huge step forward to finally reclaiming it and make it our front door, which has been long awaited. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Barnes, would you like to say anything?
Yes, this is a very exciting opportunity in my mind. Our local economy, there's a large portion of our local economy that's ag-based, and I agree with Chris Watkins' comment that I don't think we're doing enough to promote that and to showcase that to our tourists and to our visitors and to our region. And I think this is a tremendous opportunity to partner with CBC to create this institute that will also help stimulate the historic waterfront, as Mr. Parrish states, make this our front door. So to me, this is very exciting, the collaboration, the partnership. I'm really pleased and excited about the teamwork between the port staff and the city staff, and now to bring CDC into this and the county into this. This is a fantastic opportunity, and I'm really looking forward to working on it.
Others?
Mr. Mayor, it's 2 cents in. The one area I totally agree with is the partnership, collaboration is second to none. Running for this office, one of my pet peeves was to ensure that we are the best we can be in this area and in the, frankly, the Northwest. And this puts us on the map and then some. Like you mentioned, not only the groups with the historic downtown district, but what about the young professionals? They continue to come to us and say, what can we do to stay in our area? They want to build on to the small, medium, and large businesses we have here, but to build a family, to stay here and build that family and continue to stay in the Tri-Cities. We got to offer them these kind of exciting, the passion, the areas that we want to bring them to keep them here. So I think this is a great opportunity to do that. So thanks again to all those people that helped out as well.
Anyone else?
Henry?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So thanks for having us. I'm a small business owner here, and I've also lived in several large cities up and down the West Coast. And from what I've learned, every large city started out small, and and eventually, as it grew, a lot of transplants grew with new ideas and new ways to change and shape how their community would look. And I think this is a grand step in our ability to do that. And I'm just fortunate enough to be part of CBC to do it. And it's a grand step from the standpoint of what is the Tri-Cities going to look like 10, 15, 20 years from now. And Matt talked about the young professionals, and part of that is getting a flair of or aspect of being metropolitan and doing things like bringing in the growth of food and entertainment and arts are ways to develop that and grow that and attract that and keep folks coming here. And so, again, this is a key step in us transitioning in that way, but still maintain a small town community aspect. And I'm just very fortunate to be part of this, and thank you for having us.
Thank you. Commissioner Moak?
Yeah, thank you. As somebody who's been involved in some of these issues for a number of years, I look at this also, this is community development. And, our east side of Kennewick has had its ups and downs over the years. And this is a great opportunity, I think, to see part of the ups and to work together to try to reshape a community. It's great that it's here in Kennewick, it's great that it's here in the Port of Kennewick, but it certainly is it's a great opportunity for the Tri-Cities. And I think it's what happens when you have a good idea and you work it out among the folks here on my route and try to make it work. And sometimes, you work on good ideas for a long time, but sometimes things don't work. Sometimes you have the catalyst of the county monies, and suddenly things can work. It's been a great opportunity. We're going to have a lot of great opportunities ahead. And I think it will be great to have higher education.
Mr. Britton?
Yeah. I think it was 3 years ago this month, probably within a week, that we entered into the agreement with the port to go forward with this project, and so this is really exciting news. Mr. Arnson had mentioned about partnerships and kind of a cliche, and he's right. And I think partnerships just don't happen. I think there's a lot of hard work that goes into that. And I just want to acknowledge Mr. Arnson and Mrs. Mosley and the staff. Going forward, everybody's got their ideas, and I know this just didn't come easy, and so I really appreciate the partnership, and I can't, I grew up in Kennewick, and finally we have Columbia Basin College, and I want to thank Mr. Cummins and the trustees for partnering with this and bringing yourselves to our city. I think it's a great footprint to have, and it's about time. And I think with that, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
I move to authorize the city manager to work with the Port of Kennewick and Columbia Basin College to work on a development strategy and make a formal application to Benton County for rural county capital funds for Phase 2 infrastructure to support private development at Columbia Gardens and a center of culinary education at the Willows.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Britton and seconded by Mr. Parrish to authorize the project to proceed. I'm not going to go through all that crap. Council, do we have any discussions? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Council.
We beat you.
Yeah, you did. But I've got more words.
Duh.
Yeah. So at this time, I'd like to ask for our port commissioners to, I would accept a motion on Resolution 2016-24. It's a resolution of the Port of Kennewick Board of Commissioners authorizing infrastructure to support private development of Columbia Gardens and an Institute of Culinary Arts, Education, and Workforce Training at the Willows.
I'd be happy to make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any commission discussion? No. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We're on a roll, people. Concluding remarks. Commission, Council, CBC?
I simply want to say, Rich, thanks.
Yes.
I won't bug you.
I forgot to mention the fourth element. The fourth element is innovation, and we are very good at that.
Yes, you
The
are.
whole team.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, this meeting's adjourned.